What's going on, guys? It is Let's Talk Football, Fantasy Football with the Swintons and David Wright. We are on at our new time of Tuesday nights after the roundtable, after NFC South takeover. We are jumping to Tuesdays. It worked better for everybody's schedules. And we get to give you some waiver wire pickups now before it's too late because waivers are gone. We're still going to throw you some desperate players because we know a lot of people need those last-minute players. So we're still going to keep that involved, but we're adding waiver wires. And, yeah, so welcome to the show. We're going to go ahead and get into this. I just want to make sure we're set up here. Sorry, I was kind of doing stuff right before we went live, so I am slacking. But we're going to go ahead and is it even legal to have this? Bruh, you're telling me. I'm sitting here at 1-3. I can't even talk crap.
We should have invited Janae because she's doing really well in fantasy. And then we could have all just talked about how much better the Cowboys are than Washington.
Real quick, I see you out there, Sean. And we may have a lot of Cowboys fans in here. So if you would like to jump in and kind of, help balance the show a little bit, I mean, I know you would love to talk to us right now.
He's scared.
Why don't we don't want Dallas. We don't want Dallas.
No, we really don't.
Saddle up.
Yes.
It's okay, Sean. We're all in the same boat this year. We're all just going to sit around and cry about how the Eagles are just going to run through all of us. So don't worry about it.
I literally said that to him. I was like, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, we all are worse than the Eagles. And that in itself is depressing. I hate football.
Sean says he hates football.
Wish you could hate football.
Yes.
None of us
hate your football team.
Hey.
So we're just going to jump into it. I mean, these two already have jumped into their shit talking because they just beat Washington. I'm okay with the Eagles, but Washington football team.
No,
what the F?
With the Giants.
With the Giants.
So the Giants, it's fine. They're not going to go anywhere in the offseason. They aren't going to get that many more wins, in my opinion. So let them have it. It's fine.
And then Kyle said only room for one bird in the sky. And it ain't Philly. I don't think it's the Falcons either.
They look like the Cardinals either. So I don't know. Maybe it's just not bird season for y'all.
But for those of you who don't know, I am Sid Swinton. This is my lovely wife, Ash. That is David Wright over there. And we are your hosts of the Let's Talk Football Fantasy Show. And we're going to give you our best hidden advice because we all play fantasy together. So we're not going to try and help each other, but we're also going to try and help you. It's a very hard and not fun road to navigate, but we're going to do our best. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'd love to answer those as we go. So please drop any questions you have for your team this week or going forward in there, and we'd be happy to answer. We're going to start with the weekly fantasy recap, just kind of what happened this week and who did good, who did bad, what happened on Ash's team, because that's what we're doing.
Alrighty, so this week I tried to trade Russell Wilson not once but twice, and both of my trades got denied, and I'm still honestly trying to trade him, but he went absolutely off. He heard me talk shit, and then he decided to put up 27 points. So, you know what? Go you, Russell Wilson. Literally, I had 2 trades, and I'm like, please trade me, and I got denied twice. So rude. And it was in the girls' league, which I always underestimate them. So I'm like, oh, they'll just trade me. They don't know what they're doing. And then both of them denied me. And I was like, well, that's very rude. Maybe you do know what you're doing. I have another trade in for Russell Wilson. I'm just waiting to see if she'll trade me. Someone else that did really, really well this week is Austin Eckler. Again, in the girls' league, there were 2 really good teams going against each other. One scored like 130, but the other one scored like 160 because Austin Eckler decided to score 3 touchdowns. So that was fun for her. He went off. He's been doing pretty good, though.
He was rough a couple weeks.
Well, running back wise, it's
been rough. I saw a stat. So Saquon Barkley is currently the rushing leader. And he has the lowest amount of yards for a rushing leader in like 10 years or something like that
Crazy.
for the NFL as a whole. So it is the whole entire NFL running
Yeah.
backs just
I
aren't
can feel it.
producing.
It's very inconsistent too, and it's very, I don't know. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is scoring plenty of points as far as running backs go, but his yards are not great. He just scores touchdowns. So it's like James Conner last year just scored touchdowns. Just stayed scoring touchdowns. That's CEH this year. Justin Jefferson went off after having a rough 2 weeks. He finally got back in it. TJ Hawkinson went off, had like 40 points on your bench, so that was a good sit you did there. I love TJ though, and it's funny because I had sent you a post and it was like all these players are out for the Lions and still Jared Goff will find a way to not get the ball to TJ Hawkinson because he just hasn't been what I thought he was going to be. He hasn't been that great, but then he went off. Amazing. Speaking of people on our bench that went off, Sanders was on my bench and went off with almost 30 points.
Miles.
Yes. I hate those Eagles running backs. If you have Kenneth Gainwell, you might as well just drop him because he's not the guy. Andrew. Another one, Chris Olave did good. He scored like 16 points. I saw he was on a lot of people's benches. I'm excited about him. I think he has the potential to be Rookie of the Year. Tom Brady did good despite them losing. Mo Alley Cox on my bench with a solid 26 points, but why would you ever play him? You wouldn't. I literally almost dropped him, and now I'm just going to keep him around for funsies. Damian Pierce was on my bench in one league, so that's really sad. I think now I've done enough weeks of watching him that now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to bump you up to starter because started off slow, and then he's just progressively getting better. Another one that I'm just going to start now is Dobbins because that was another sad one that I didn't start that scored a lot of points. Who else is trending up? Plays for the Titans.
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods is another one I had no faith in, and then now is starting to trend up. And with Treylon Burks hurt, that's another one I really like. People that are dead on my team are still Cam Akers. I hate it. Sean McVay is irritating. I was like, fine, don't play Akers. Then I'll play Henderson. That's fine because I have both of wherever I have Akers, I have Henderson. I was at least smart about that and got the backup.
I have a theory.
Now it's even. I don't even know if you're going to play Henderson or Akers. It's up in the air. So
I'm pretty sure that Sean McVay plays fantasy football, and in one league, he drafted Cam. And in the other league, he drafted Henderson.
Yeah.
And he just has fun with it.
Like, I need points from both guys. Yeah. Or, you know what? I'm down in this game. I need Cam to get more points than Henderson this week. It's just, I hate it. I don't really love running backs this year, though. It's really hard. Because, like you said, they're just not, as a whole, in the NFL, are not getting points. But why is that? Why is it so bad this year?
It's turning into a passing league. It's just all.
You think? I know Andrew talked about it too. A lot of leagues have like two backs now that they split carries between.
Mm-hmm. I actually posed that question to Andrew on his show last night. Do you guys think that this is just kind of an anomaly this year? Obviously, we've seen a lot of injuries to the top backs in the league, but do you think that we ever trend back to the bell cow backs that are winning leagues for people every year, or do you think this is just the way things are going to be now?
So I think it goes back and forth. I think it goes up and down because the league is all about trends and what's happening, what's winning now, and then when everybody's running the ball really well, people try and switch to the pass because everybody's playing run defense, and then so that when everybody starts to switch to the pass, everybody gets the nickel and dime packages where there's a lot more corners and safeties on the field and less big linemen, less linebackers. So then they start running more. It's literally it just ebbs and flows as they're always trying to one up each other. And right now it's just a pass-heavy offense, and so defenses are going to start switching to playing nickel and dime to try and stop the pass, and then the run is going to open back up, and it's going to be back to running, and you're going to need that bell cow.
But do you think? And here's my biggest concern with it is how many teams have had such success running the football in a two-back system. Because for most of the time I've been watching football. You leave your back in there. It's a rhythm position. You have to let them get their touches. And what we're starting to see is these two-back systems where that second back can literally step in and be effective immediately, while the starting back gets his breath. Do you think that is the future of the position? Because it also extends the lifespan of these running backs. I mean, to be honest, without Tony Pollard, I think Zeke would possibly be at the end of his career because he's such a power runner, and the punishment he's already taken in his career, the injuries have already started. I mean, without Tony Pollard spelling him, his career is going to be so much shorter. So, I mean, do you think that is the future of the position?
I don't think so, because you still have, I mean, the most dominant running backs in the league right now are Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Najee. Like, those are power guys. Still grind you down, and although that's not what we're seeing right now because it's a pass-heavy league, those guys are the ones that, I mean, they beat you up for three quarters. And, I mean, this was your favorite thing about Dallas when Zeke was a rookie. You just keep feeding Zeke, and by the time you hit the fourth quarter, he's round you down, and now he's going to eat. And that's what Derrick Henry does. That's what Jonathan Taylor was really good at. That's what I want Najee to be eventually. He's got the size for it. It's not popular right now because of the pass-heavy offenses. But it's going to switch. It always does this. It goes up and down, and running backs become less likely and then more likely. We're just in a bad time running back wise right now. So it's just a matter of time before it flips again, I think.
It's just not a sustainable way.
I hear you.
No, either. Like Zeke would be done if Tony Pollard. You know what I mean? So how long can you have that power back just plowing through people?
That's why the lifespan of a running back doesn't last long. But I don't think that changes.
Rather extend your lifespan by having.
I don't think teams care. I think they want. It's just whatever's going to win you the game now.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. So
I guess you can do that kind of like Zeke, and then when you see your running back starting to slow down, then get somebody else in there like a Pollard to take some of the load off. And
usually the two-back system is the backs are very different. Like, one is the power back, one is the speed back, right? So you're
Thunder
and it's going to depend on the game flow which back you use the most. So like if it's if we're playing Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Tom Brady on the other side, I want my power back in there. We're going to slow this game down, and we're going to grind it out and keep him on the sideline. When it's not as good of a quarterback that you're not too worried about it, and you like the passing game against their defense or whatnot, you put your speed back in there. You run empty sets or put him in the slot and use him as a passing option more often. And so the power back's not that grinder, but I think it just goes up and down depending on situations. And there's not a lot of, I think the thing is there's a lot better quarterbacks coming in the league, more accurate, more powerful, more smarter guys that you don't need to lean on the running back as much right now, but there's still always going to be teams that need that, benefit from that, and so they're going to use that, I think.
I see you, Janae. Miss you too, girl.
It stinks for fantasy purposes because you just don't know what to do. And for as long as I've been playing fantasy, which hasn't been too long, but 3-4 years, it has been running backs the first few rounds. You want your good solid running backs. Now I'm looking at my teams dang, I wish I would have went maybe one running back and then a really good wide receiver, because these running backs just aren't scoring me the points that I need to win. Where I'd rather at this point gotten a Miles Sanders, a CEH, Rob Robinson, who did bad this week but has been good. Been good up until this week. So I would rather have just gotten a good well, and even these, I mean, Zeke, Najee, Jonathan Taylor's not been great. All these top tier running backs aren't scoring the points either. So I mean, you didn't know this was going to happen, but looking back on it, I'm like, I would rather have gotten a Diggs, a Justin Jefferson, a Cooper Kupp early on, and then gotten an okay running back because they're all just okay.
Well, and from a fantasy standpoint, every team's going to usually have a running back injury. If they don't, it's because their guy is the guy and he takes over. And we're very early in the season where we're seeing either the two backs being healthy and they're kind of playing off each other, or the guy is the guy and they're getting hurt. Like, I mean, we've seen a ton of injuries already. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later, especially with waiver wire pickups and stuff. But I think that's a big factor. I'm not panicking on running backs yet. I still think they're going to be vital for whoever wins fantasy leagues. You're going to have solid running backs. Like, I think that's going to be a difference maker, because with being a pass heavy offense league wide, that means there's so many receivers, so many options to go through. Like, I have a trouble in one league because I have like 5 receivers and I don't know who to start because they're all like on the same level. And they all score like 12 to 15 points, and it's like, who do I start? Whereas like running backs, I'm like, I know who my guys are. They may be doing right now, but they may be scoring 12 points. But that's going to be consistent and last longer than I think the receiver aspect of it.
I hate this question. I hate that you asked this question.
I love this question.
I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't
What does it say after that? ROS? I don't know. Roster, maybe? I'm a Muth all day. I've been a Pitts hater since before the draft.
It's all those touchdowns that scores that I think is why you should keep him on your roster.
Did you see the question is Muth or Pitts? David, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's the question?
Freiermuth or Pitts?
Rest of the
season.
I was trying to figure out what Ash was talking about, why she hated that. Yeah. I'm still gonna stick with Freiermuth. I have a good friend of mine who gives me lots of very, very relevant information when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I was very high on Freiermuth coming into this year. And then I'm going to stick with him because, one, Pitts has not proved that with all that talent and being so physically dominating that he can take over a game. It could be coaching, could be quarterback play, call it what you will, but the results have not been there. On the other hand, I think Kenny Pickett is about to turn the Pittsburgh offense around as much as he can. That good friend of mine also really hates the Steelers offensive coordinator, which gives me a little pause, but I would stick it out with Freiermuth. I think he will be more consistent and reliable.
And I think with Pickett, too, it'll get better. Like,
1,000%.
Patty's is only going to go up because he'll actually throw it in the middle of the field, maybe, and you'll see a lot more.
It was
Patty.
I think it was very indicative of what happened. I mean, look at what happened as soon as Pickett went in. He looked to Freiermuth a lot, and he went to Pickens a lot. So this is going to be leading into my waiver wire pickups. I truly think Pickens becomes the Steelers' number 1 wide receiver option going forward because of Pickett. I think he utilizes his talents more. He's got more reps with Pickens than he has the other 2 guys. So he's already got a repertoire and a chemistry with Pickens. I think Claypool gets very phased he's the 3 now. I love Claypool. I'm not knocking his talent. I just think with Pickett coming in, Pickens becomes the 1 receiver, the best receiver in the Steelers offense, and Freiermuth is the number 2 option.
He becomes the most heavily targeted.
Yeah, he's gonna. I think he takes
know
most
that
targets.
he's the best, but he becomes the most targeted.
He's the best. You see that catch?
I really like Deontay.
I also said before the season started, during all the drafts, I said I would take Freiermuth over Pitts all day. I made multiple statements that I think Freiermuth is going to finish as top 5 tight end fantasy wise, especially with Pickett. So I just think that makes it better. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, you also told somebody to sit Hawkinson last week, so can we really trust you?
I didn't tell anybody. I sat Hawkinson. Hey, do you know who I started him for? Freiermuth.
Freiermuth.
He had 16 points.
Not
I'll take that from my
50.
tight end. That's okay. Hey, and Hawkinson had like 3 points last week and 2 points the week before.
No, he had more than that. Calm down. Don't be talking about my Iowa boy like that. He had more than that. Anyway, I like Hawkinson a lot. But you know what? Tight ends. I drafted a tight end early. I drafted Darren Waller early, and every single week I say, this is why. This is why I don't draft tight ends early, because Waller's been absolute doo-doo. And I'm like, I could have just waited for Patty. I could have just sat and waited for Patty. Or even like a Higbee has been doing much better than a lot of those tight ends that went early. So
Hawkinson's points 7, 5, 10.
Oh, 10.
And then last week.
So there was no 2s and 3s.
7, 5, and 10.
I'll take
which
it.
Freiermuth was higher than this week, which is what I wanted. So I was perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, if you were going consistent, I mean, it made it. If you were looking at previous weeks, it made more sense to start Patty. But Nathan, you have such a good team. I want to trade you. Trade me.
Got another question here. Should I drop Tua if I have Lamar Jackson?
Don't drop him.
Drafted him for a backup. Is it worth making a claim for Julio Jones and giving up Tua? Honestly, do you think he will be back? And what does that look like?
Really quick, I would. If you don't want him, just trade him. Don't just drop him.
I would first try and trade. Look for somebody that has a rough quarterback situation. There has been some injuries and there's been some bad quarterback play with Stafford, off of Matt Ryan, Tannehill. If anybody was waiting and got one of those guys late, or Trey Lance, Dak, and they're kind of playing the waiver wire quarterback, they'll probably take Tua off your hands.
Take Tua.
And I don't think Julio is worth picking up. There's too many other weapons on that offense, and Julio is too injury prone and just doesn't get enough looks for me. I personally dropped Julio last week, so I think that's what I would do. But if you have Lamar, I think you're starting Lamar.
Yeah.
And you'll never start Tua over Lamar. So unless you were David a couple weeks ago when they both scored almost 50, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, I think Tua will come back and he'll be fine. He'll be out this week, but I think after that he'll go back to what he was doing and just be fine. I really like Tua a lot. I have Stafford in the league. I have Russell Wilson in the league. I have Dak in the league, and I would trade those guys and some to get like a Tua. So don't just drop him. There's somebody in your fantasy league that needs a quarterback and would happily take Tua, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would go look at other people's rosters and see who needs a quarterback and start to try and work a deal.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
100%. I mean, so you said, you want to go after Julio. Depending on what your other receiver options are and what's out there on the waiver wire, I'm not excited about Julio. To be honest, I'd probably go get Beasley before I took Julio, because we all know what Tom Brady does with short, white slot receivers. And I think the two of them, if Beasley learns the offense, I think he could become that security blanket for Brady the way that Gronk used to be. Beasley has phenomenal hands, but there are just way too many options on that team. I'm not excited about Julio. Tua, I still don't think Tua's the guy. I don't think he's a dude. I think he has a lot of amazing weapons, and I think that the league will figure out how to slow them down. I don't think they'll figure out how to completely stop them. But I mean, if you got Lamar Jackson, I would definitely offload Tua. Like the Swinton said, definitely find somebody that you can trade him to, but I would not sweat going with Lamar for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And so the big draw for Julio Jones, his talent, I think, is Mike Evans in that offense. And Mike Evans is going to get the look every time over Julio right now. So I don't think his skill set is anything that adds to the offense. So he's not going to gain anything going forward. Next question is
I feel like they brought Julio in for that security blanket for Brady. Veteran guy, good hands, can be dependable. He was never going to be the guy.
And then Nathan's got a question. He's got Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and Jared Goff. Who should he drop?
So I'm actually dropping Matthew Stafford and trying to pick up Jared Goff, which sounds like the most bizarre thing in the world because it was the exact opposite last year. Like you would be dying to have Stafford over Goff, and now I'm dying to have Goff over Stafford. But
I think the big
Justin Herbert is definitely a lock for me. I love Justin Herbert. I have him in a league. I'm gonna ride that until the wheels fall off. I love Herbert.
Yeah, I like dropping Stafford for sure. And it's not, I don't think it's because of the talent of Stafford.
No.
A lot of people are writing Stafford off as if it's his fault. I think it's his offensive line. It's a lot worse than it was last year. Allen Robinson isn't Odell. And they just don't have the weapons this year that they did last year.
Ain't nothing.
And it's because their offensive line isn't good. I just don't think their offensive, it's not nearly as good as it was last year. He has no time to throw, so it's going to be tough for Stafford going forward. And I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's a personnel issue around him.
Well, that's the case a lot of times in fantasy. It's not for lack of talent. It's just.
Got any insight there, David?
Yeah, clean sweep. Definitely out of the three, I'd drop Stafford. I still don't trust Goff and the Lions, but I'm getting there. I just feel like the bottom's going to fall out because it's Detroit.
Yeah. It's just with the Lions, they score a lot of points. So give me Goff because someone's throwing those passes to score all those touchdowns.
That's the idea behind Tua.
I will say we're sitting here talking about weapons and how Stafford doesn't really have the weapons that he had last year. Well, Jared Goff didn't have DeAndre Swift or the sun god Amon-Ra, and he lit it up. Yeah. And granted, it's not like he was playing the 49ers in prime time, but I'm impressed by Goff so far. I wouldn't put all my eggs in his basket, but definitely watch and see how it goes.
100%, I agree. This one says, would you trade Pittman and Olave to receive Debo and Juju? I would then have Jettas, Debo, and Waddle at receiver.
Yes.
I would do that. Absolutely. I always think it's the best if you're taking if you're trading the two middle guys for the top and bottom guy. I like that. I want the best guy in the trade, whether it's I'm doing a 3-for-1 or 2 and 2, like a top guy and a bottom guy to get two middle guys. I always want the best guy. Like I want the top guy in the trade, and that in that trade is Debo. Juju, I think, is the lowest on that totem pole, so that's probably why you're making the trade. I like Debo, especially if you got Jettas and Waddle.
You're stacked, that wide receiver.
That wide receiver stack is insane.
And with the way wide receivers are going this year, yeah.
What do you think?
I'm going to disagree, but only because we still don't know how high Ryan and Pittman can go, right? And Olave is still an unknown. If he can get some solid quarterback play, obviously they're a mess over there right now. The ceiling for those two, I think, is way higher than the ceiling for Debo and Juju. And so I guess I would probably side with the Pittman and Olave side of that trade just for the potential upside. I might lose out. It's a gamble, but I mean, with Jimmy G taking over again, is it going to be same as last year? Is Debo going to start seeing the numbers that he was last year? We'll see, but
I'll take same as last year. I'll take it with Debo. I mean, Debo's the for sure, I think, in my opinion, in the trade.
Yeah,
he's the known commodity.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's more of a known quantity with Debo now that Jimmy G's coming back in there. Whereas there's still some question marks for Olave and Pittman. And they may have a lower floor, but they also might have a higher ceiling. We just don't know yet. So I'd probably roll the dice. I like Pittman.
I don't love Pittman because Matt Ryan's playing like doo-doo. I don't like Olave because he doesn't have a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing good for a rookie. He's putting up decent points. He's probably a little higher than Juju, but I like Juju's quarterback better. Juju hasn't been the worst ever. It's just inconsistent because Patrick Mahomes spreads the ball around or gives it to Kelsey. But I really, really like Debo.
Yeah.
I really like Debo now that Trey Lance is out too. I am not a Trey Lance fan, and I love everybody that plays for the 49ers much better now that Trey Lance is out and Jimmy G's back in. It's just a known. Like I feel like you know what Jimmy G is gonna do. You know Jimmy G is gonna get the ball to Debo and Ayuk at least every once in a while. Where Trey Lance wasn't getting the ball to Ayuk at all.
He played in the monsoon.
I
That's
don't
it.
care.
That's literally all
I
he
don't
played
care.
in. How you don't know who he's gonna get to
You got it to nobody.
in a monsoon.
I'll do better.
I'm gonna skip to this comment real fast. This just says, David, you got crap on the front of your and side of your sweater. So
Yeah.
okay, sorry. Back to the questions here.
Hey,
You know what,
dude.
Andrew? You're just lucky that Cooper Clutch did not play against the Bucks because that would have been an L. So just thank God that you didn't have Cooper playing against you week 1.
Cooper Clutch, baby. Hey, did anybody see the Tampa Bay game this week? I know I have it in my notes somewhere. I can't remember what happened though.
I'm not sure Tampa can beat a team that actually is good and has a winning record.
All right, back to fantasy.
Andrew
so
didn't go on last week because
We're
he was
Cowboys fans, Sid. It's all fantasy to us.
Nathan said, "Is Jamar Chase for Cooper Kupp a good offer? If you're offering Chase, if you can get Kupp in the deal, take it all day because Kupp over Chase all day. Kupp is
Higgins is better
hands
than Chase.
down." He said, "Dot dot 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 dot." Kupp is the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. I don't care what anybody says. They think it's Jettas, but it's really Kupp. He's on.
It's really Diggs. But...
Kupp? No, it's not. No, it's not. Kupp has more catches than
Yes.
Justin Fields has completions on the season. That should, I mean, Kupp is on pace for like 195 catches or something like that. He's the fantasy wide receiver god.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of stats about how if he continues the way he is, he's gonna break fantasy records point wise, like blow him out of the park. So,
and just like I also said all offseason, Jamar Chase goes ghost in a lot of games, but everybody just remembered the end of the season and forgot that he had a 7-game stretch where he had less than 50 yards.
Yeah,
Higgins is the guy in Cincinnati.
I've been trying to tell the people I'm obsessed with T. Higgins, like obsessed with him, and the fact that he, even getting hurt 2 games and not playing for half the game, still has more targets, still has more yards. I'm telling you, T. Higgins is that guy. You need to stop sleeping on him and quit pumping up Chase all the time.
And this
you want to hear a stat about Cooper Kupp?
Sure.
Okay, so in 2021, 95% of snaps, 94% of routes, 32% of targets, 32% of air yards. This year, already, 99.6% of snaps, 98% of routes, 36% of targets, 44% of air yards. So if he keeps it up, he's gonna blow those numbers out of the water from last year, which is insane because his numbers last year were absolutely insane.
And I think so. One of my arguments I made over the summer to argue against Jamar Chase and for T. Higgins is I thought Jamar Chase had the breakout at the end because teams started treating T. Higgins as the one, and Jamar Chase got the number 2 guys. I think the offseason hype made Jamar Chase the number 1, and people started treating him as the number 1 now, and T. Higgins gets the number 2, and now he's feasting. So I think it's going to depend. I think this flip-flops a few times throughout the year, going back and forth, just whoever gets the number 2 and whoever's treated as the number 1. Any thoughts on that one, David? I know we talk a lot, but
Kupp all day.
Yeah.
Kupp all day. There is something that separates certain players, regardless of their position. But at the end of the day, when the entire stadium, every single person in attendance or watching on TV knows what you're about to do, and you can still do it, that's Cooper Kupp. I mean, the man he's Houdini. Everyone knows who the ball is going to, and yet he somehow still gets open. The guy's special, and I would absolutely take him in this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then next question is, could Christian Kirk get some trade offers? I think absolutely. I think I was not a huge fan of Kirk and his contract to Jags. I would happily take Christian Kirk if I was in need of a receiver. I think he's the number 1 guy. I like Trevor a lot. I think the Jags are going to shock a lot of people this year. I don't think you'll get a lot more for him than you like are giving up in Christian Kirk. So I don't think I would shop him because I don't think people are going to see Christian Kirk and be like, I need to give you somebody better.
Mhm.
And so it's probably not worth shopping, but I would be happy to take Christian Kirk. Like if you're trying to trade him for like a backup quarterback or something like that. And it's somebody that I don't mind giving up.
I like Christian Kirk. Washington beat Tampa. I don't know who's Washington.
Last year.
Sean's over there talking about, that.
You need to be in the now. You're the Commanders now. Move on.
When's the last time
Sean.
Dallas beat Tampa? I'll wait.
Literally never.
Don't be a Tommy, Sean. Root for America's team. There's always a seat right here next to me for you, okay?
How do you feel about Drake London?
How do I?
That's the question. Not you. How do you feel about Drake London?
I mean, is there any context here as opposed to a certain other
Drake
player?
London over who?
To be honest, I like Drake London. I think he's in a terrible situation. Bad quarterback play. I think they throw the ball 7 times last week. So I think he's in a Kyle Pitts situation. Talented with a quarterback that can't get him the ball. So
I mean, he scored. I mean, he did okay the first 3 weeks. He did really bad last week.
yeah, I like the talent and the upside a lot. I tend to shy away from receivers that don't have a good quarterback, unless they can
that's why I was asking for context, because he's obviously the guy.
Point wise.
Here's a
They love
response
him
to
over
it.
there, but it's Mariota. So
yeah, he said in general, would you make him a starter or Sutton?
Absolutely starting Sutton.
Yeah, I like Sutton.
I like Sutton a lot, actually.
All the way around.
Same reasons.
Sutton scored
Quarterback play, basically.
week 1, 11, week 2, 19, week 3, 17, week 4, 16. So I like Sutton a lot. Better than Jerry Jeudy. I don't really love Russ this year, though, but
I think he's better than Mariota.
yes.
Okay, that's Janae.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'd start Sutton over Drake London, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, as would I. Because, I mean, Sid alluded to it. I obviously know none of us trust Marcus Mariota. Ash does not trust Russell Wilson at the moment, but I think that you can't be a quarterback with Russell Wilson's history and not figure this thing out. Obviously, he's going to need some help from the coaching, but we saw it at the end of the game 2 weeks ago, and that just absolute barn burner. At the end of the game, he got fed up with the play calling. He got fed up with the situation. He took over that last drive. He did it with his legs. He did it with his arm. I very much expect Russ to continue to get better throughout the year. So I would stick with Sutton.
Same. Another one here. Y'all like J-Rob, James Robinson, and Damian Harris for Fournette and Kareem Hunt.
I like the J-Rob Harris side.
I like the other side, so I'm curious what David says, and I'll give you my answers why.
I don't know. Robinson, I still wasn't a believer in. Sid was all on that train, and I was like, no, I still don't trust him. And I kind of still feel that way. I don't know. He's balling out, but Lenny and Hunt is solid, consistent. I don't think you'll have the highs and lows that you'll have with the other side.
Damian Harris.
Yes.
You don't like Damian Harris, or?
Yeah,
What's
he
that?
likes the consistency
Do you
of
like-
Fournette and Hunt.
Yeah, but he
better.
didn't talk about that. What do you think about because
Fournette-
James Robinson and
Fournette-
Damian Harris? Yeah, do you think Damian Harris isn't like consistent or good, or is that why?
No, I was just saying that I feel like you're going to have highs and lows with that side compared to Fournette and Hunt.
Gotcha.
I think Fournette and Hunt will be more consistent. So I take
So
that side.
I agree with Fournette being consistent. I don't think Hunt is consistent at all. Because if Nick Chubb is grinding in a game and they're up, you don't see Hunt at all. So he
Nick Chubb's
disappears.
I mean,
and Nick Chubb has been balling, so I don't like Kareem Hunt too much. But this kind of alludes back to the earlier one. I think the best overall player out of all four is Fournette, so I think I go to the Fournette side. A couple reasons. I've obviously been shouting J. Rob's name from the rooftops about it, and have liked him a lot. But I think they're going to start to this is around the time of the season where rookies start to shine more, or I guess ETN's not a rookie, but it's really his first year playing. And I think he's going to get more integrated in the offense going forward, and J-Rob's going to slowly phase out. And Damian Harris, I have Damian Harris in the league, and it frustrates me all the time because I don't know that Patriots backfield is always a split backfield, and Fournette is the only true guy out of the four. So because he's the best of the options, I'm going that way as well.
I just don't like Hunt. I would never play Hunt. I would play the other two. So I'm going to take 2 over the 1 in Fournette because I don't think Fournette is better than those 2 combined. It depends what, I guess, your team needs. If you only need one guy, I would take Fournette. But if you're like very thin on running backs and you need a couple options, I would go the other way. If you had Chubb and you wanted Hunt as like just another security thing, then I would do that. I don't love Hunt though, unless you're just using it as like a safeguard in case Chubb gets hurt.
Right. This one says I traded Breece Hall and cut Michael Carter. Was that the right decision? For me, what I just said, I think my rookies start to take over this time. They start to get integrated more. So I like Breece Hall more than Michael Carter going forward. So I think it is personally.
They like Breece Hall more than Michael Carter too.
Yeah.
His snaps, his touches, they just keep increasing. So the one thing he needs to do to really be able to solidify that is to get more involved in the passing game, because obviously, that's Michael Carter's thing. So I like Breece Hall though.
And then Sean says, how quickly would you go with Brian Robinson? He returns this week. I personally never start or go to a running back, especially if I haven't seen them their first week. I give them a week to see how they are. If they're only get 50% of the snaps, I give them another week to see how they are. But I'm very high on Brian Robinson. I have him in almost every single league, stashed on my IR, waiting for him.
Yeah, I like Brian Robinson looked good before the whole incident happened with him. So, I mean, the Commanders stink, so I don't know. I might just want to avoid better players, but
I mean, it's become very clear how they feel about Antonio Gibson. So, I mean,
yeah,
that job is his once he can physically do it.
Yeah.
So depending on how desperate you are, I mean, if you don't have a running back to start, throw him in there. I mean,
true.
He's going to get his work. If you still have better options, then yeah, you can. I would follow exactly what Sid said. Be a little patient.
This one says full team is Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Jay Jettas, Terry McLaurin, Darren Waller, David Montgomery. He's got Monty or Herbert in the flex. Benches Judy, Madison, Tua, Thielen, Henderson, Knox. Please rate my team. I think you're solid.
I like Lamar. I like Chubb. Josh Jacobs balled out this last week. I don't like McLaurin because he plays for Washington. Good job having Herbert for the Montgomery injury.
Yeah, I don't see very many problems with it.
Madison's a good one to have too. Just Thielen's great. Yeah, it looks solid. Tua.
I mean, the only disappointment I see there so far is Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Waller hasn't been doing great either.
Yeah,
you have,
but I mean, you're already pretty solid, at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking good, man. You're looking real good.
I like it. This one said, really only need Fournette. Hunt can be a buy filler. Y'all rock. Very in-depth. Thank you. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for asking the question. And then Nathan said, I traded George Kittle. Oh, wait.
I traded George Kittle for TJ Hawkinson.
Was that a good decision?
What are you saying?
I think so, because Kittle's a great tight end, but not a great fantasy tight end. They just don't throw him the ball enough for him to be fantasy relevant.
I would love to see George Kittle on a different team.
He's a great blocker. He's too good of a blocker.
It must be nice to have a blocking tight end.
Jahan is out for a couple weeks, which hurts my soul. I like him a lot.
Jahan, I literally moved off my taxi squad because I'm like, screw this. I'm over it. This dynasty stuff is irritating my soul. And then I find out he's hurt anyway. And I'm like, well, I should have just left you on my dang taxi squad.
I agree, Nicole. I think it's the best way to learn about players. You just get so invested in them.
I knew absolutely nothing about football until like 3 years ago. And I still didn't know a lot. And fantasy has definitely made me learn a lot because I know all these guys because of fantasy. There's no other reason I would care about literally all of these guys on all these teams. The only reason I know who they are is for fantasy. I remember when we drafted like the first 2 years, I'm like, who is this and who do they play for? Like, who is this and who do they play for? Like, once we got to like the 4th round. But now I'm good. I still forget some. The running backs I like to mess up sometimes. Like those Houston and New England running backs, I always flip what teams they play for. And I'm like, can they just pick one and have a guy so I remember who they play for, please?
Nathan asked, why can't you put a QB at flex? And that's just basically league settings is flex is either running back, tight end, or receiver. Now you can have super flex leagues, where it's basically a setting that's made beforehand where you can play quarterbacks in flex, but that's not standard. So it would just be something that your commissioner
quarterbacks score a lot of points. We'd all be having 2 quarterbacks playing.
Or you could just go pick up Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Don't do that. Nicole probably likes that.
Don't do that. It was a joke.
Nicole, that's exactly
Nicole's
what Sean did. This one says, Nicole said, if I keep tuning in to your show, though, might get 1 win, and that's a W. That's what Sean did last year. He
literally about to say the same thing.
Yep.
Yes. Just ask Sean. I still hate him.
Ended up almost winning the whole league because of it. Andrew says that he'd wait on Robinson.
There for like...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just reading the next comment. No, you're good. What he sat there and with me and you and
just picked up all the people you guys told him to pick up on waivers.
Yeah,
took your advice,
like
and then ended up doing very good.
3-4 weeks in a row, he just kept taking all of our waiver picks, so we couldn't.
I would literally, yeah. Last year, I would watch you guys though, and I'd have my phone out, and I'd be like, "Who are they saying? No, okay, got them. Who are they saying? No, okay, got it." And it's just a matter of hopefully I'm on the top of the waiver. My pick is up there.
I much prefer having you over here in front of the camera rather than off screen somewhere and you're snarking.
If you want fantasy advice, do not come to me for waiver wire advice because I am not the waiver wire person. I don't work the waivers. That's not my thing. I'm a very draft my team. I don't do a lot of trades. I ride or die with my team, which is why Dynasty is not my favorite because I don't want to ride with these people for years to come. I want them to go away and I want to do it again. But it's okay. It's a new experience. It's interesting. I played Andrew in Dynasty this weekend, lost, so I'm not doing very good. But it's okay.
I actually beat Sean in our Dynasty League this week.
Sean's doing really good in there too.
Sean just taken so many L's to me this week. It's great.
The purpose of the taxi squad.
Sean. Quick question for Sean. Sean, were you watching that game? Because this poor guy, ladies and gentlemen, he had Edwards-Helaire. He needed a couple more points. Edwards-Helaire is just chewing up yardage on that final drive. And on 3rd down, he ends up getting like I think it was like 6-7 yard run to beat me until they threw the flag.
And it brought it back.
and then Kansas City put Pacheco in on the replay of that down, who got stuffed in the backfield. and they never got the ball back.
That's exactly what happened. Love fantasy.
John says it's a purpose of a taxi squad to put your rookies on there.
So a taxi squad is for dynasty leagues. A taxi squad is you basically can put your rookies on a taxi squad and they can stay there all year. They don't affect your roster at all. If you take a rookie off your taxi squad, though, and put them on your active roster, they cannot go back to your taxi squad. So it's a way to get rookies and keep your team fuller and be able to hold them, waiting for them to develop, basically, without them taking a roster spot is what a taxi squad is.
Or you can take Jahan Dotson off your taxi squad because you're sick and tired of Chase Claypool putting up goose eggs, and then you realize that Jahan Dotson is hurt. Why didn't no one tell me that before I took him off my taxi squad? And this is why I'm not the waivers person because I do not pay attention to injuries enough. I have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
So this one says I have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm a bit torn on keeping them both. What should I do?
I don't like having them both on the same team, but I like both of them though. I have Tyreek Hill in one league and Jalen Waddle in a different one, and I really like both of them. I don't know that I would like to start 2 wide receivers from the same team every week.
Yep.
So I would try to trade one of them and try to get I would try to trade a Waddle and get another top tier wide receiver, just one that's on a different team.
Sometimes it's hard to do because people like their top receivers and why would I trade one for one? Maybe try and get a running back or upgrade a tight end, something like that is usually what the go-to is.
Agreed.
That was my claim to fame. Andrew said you can do that in our league, right, Sid? Yes, we can start 2 quarterbacks because we have a super flex league. If you have a really bad team, though, you start
Jacoby Brissett.
And then I have Thielen and Jefferson. Thoughts on starting them both? I had to do it last week because Jacobs was a little sick and worked out. Thielen TD. Is that smart to do? Guaranteed point, or smart or dumb, guaranteed points. So I think I disagree with you guys on that. You guys said you don't like starting 2 on the same team. I think if you're in a pass-heavy offense or 2 dominant guys, in one league I have DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and TJ Hawkinson, and I have no problem starting them.
I don't have problems doing that. I have problems starting
there's a
difference.
difference.
From the same. I'm not going to start Deontay Johnson and Pickett.
If they're your best options, why not?
I would try to trade one, especially what are you going to do on your bye week? If you care about your bye week. I normally don't care about my bye week. I just take the L. But also, say Kirk has a bad day. Now you got 2 wide receivers that had a bad day instead of only 1.
Yeah, but that's like avoiding a quarterback.
But I don't think Thielen. I'm not high on Thielen. That's all.
I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, everybody's starting both of them, right? Yeah. Whether you have them individually. So why wouldn't you start them if you have them on the same team?
I would. If I had both of them, I would start both of them.
Right.
I would just prefer to not have 2 wide receivers from the same team. Is all. That would be starting. I mean, I would take I have Deontay in one league and Claypool in another, but I don't have to start. Claypool's only if I have to start him type thing. He's lower on my.
Well, and this one is the Thielen he had to start because of Jacobs, and
then I don't hate that either.
And I like having both of them because of injuries. I mean, they're both producing, so I don't mind starting both of them. I don't mind having both of them because if one gets hurt, then the other one just got boosted, and you have them both. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't think it's as bad as you guys think. I
don't think it. I mean, if you have both of those guys, I'm not dying to get rid of them. I mean, if those were the 2 best available and I was drafting, I wouldn't avoid Waddle because I had Hill because they're both not good. But if there were other people available, I wouldn't take them from the same team. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna draft Sutton and Judy and play both of them. I'm not gonna. I do that though, where I take a running back, a wide receiver from the same team. I don't mind that as much.
I don't like that more, I think, because the team's either going to be a good running team or a good passing team. There's very few teams that are good at both, and starting both is usually hard. So if you're gonna go,
not if you have a Monron Swift,
right? I mean, that's one that there's just a high-powered offense both ways. But I don't. If a player is going to be a top 10 guy at their position, and you just happen to have two of them on your team, I don't think you should be scared because they're on the same team to start them.
Well, I'm not starting Waddle and Hill. I just probably wouldn't have drafted that way. Is all.
I mean, but whether it comes to drafting or starting a player, it's best available almost all the time. Sometimes you can get cute situationally, but if those were the two best available at the spots you were drafting and now you have them both, obviously you're going to start them. However, I would look to make my pick and offload them because what was it, week two, right, when Miami went off with Baltimore? That's not that's not going to happen every week. Obviously the Lions are rolling, and that we already talked about that. But I definitely don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. It's risky, very risky. But I mean, when you have two guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, super talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. My thing is if I only had one of them, would I always start them and it wouldn't be a question? Then it doesn't matter if I have the other one, because I'm always like, so if I have Waddle on my team, he's probably a set it and forget it starter. I'm not looking at matchups, so it doesn't matter. Same thing with Tyreek Hill, so it's not going to affect me if I have them on but I agree, I wouldn't have them on the same team or try not to. But if I do, I'm not worried about it.
I think it's a perfect opportunity to address holes in your roster when you have that situation, because if you have both of them, like the perceived value from most fantasy players on both of those guys is very high. So if you have a hole on your roster, this is a perfect way to address it.
Yep, trading for a tight end or running back, something like that. Like I said, go get a different position. 100%.
Okay, really quick, Sean. We know that Cooper Clutch got bailed out 2 times. We don't need to talk about it. Go refs. Terry McLaurin got shut down by Diggs once again. It's the story of Scary Terry's life when he plays us. It's fine. Just admit it.
Again, back to fantasy football. I got to keep reeling these Cowboys fans back in.
Well, the Dallas defense did work.
This one says, do I trade Jamar Chase and Olave for Devontae Adams, Pierce, and Garrett Wilson? I would do that trade all day, every day, twice on Sundays. I love that trade.
Why?
I think T. Higgins is better than Jamar Chase.
I do too.
I think Garrett Wilson is as talented as Chris Olave. And I would
take Garrett Wilson over. Yes, I agree with that, I guess.
I'm saying, you asked why, and then wouldn't let me finish.
Because I know where you're going. That's sorry, I'll let you explain.
That's definitely unanimous.
Yeah, I would say because Olave is talented, but so is Garrett Wilson. I like Zach Wilson more than anything that's going on in New Orleans. Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. He will get it together. I know he's slow right now, but I'm not worried. And Dameon Pierce looks like him. So
I'm worried about Devontae Adams. Is it? But the upside of the other two is worth it.
It's still Devontae Adams.
I know. Devontae Adams ain't looking very Devontae Adams like.
He's still a top 15 receiver. He's just not the number 1 receiver.
He needs Aaron Rodgers back.
Yep. So real quick, while we don't have any questions right now, it sounded like David was unanimous there. So we're just going to go into our waiver wire pickups and then desperate players.
We'll still answer questions if you.
Yeah, still fire away questions, but we're going to try and get to the waiver wire so we can at least throw out a couple of our waiver wire options that we have for you for this week. So we're going to go ahead and start with you, David. Go ahead and give me a few names that you like for the waivers this week.
My number 1 waiver pickup for this week, the guy who I'm kind of breaking my rule. I try not to go with anybody who's rostered in over 50% of leagues. Currently, he is at 57.1. But what I saw this last week, it lands him in here. Pickens.
Jeez.
Yeah.
earlier.
I think it's probably all three of our number one waiver pick this week, but the changing of the guard at quarterback, the highlights that we've already seen from this kid. Anthony Handy actually spotlighted him on the roundtable tonight for his rookie spotlight, and I learned some things about him that I didn't know.
And he got that dog in him.
Yeah. But just what I've seen, Rip, just the kid is special. I'm a little upset because I realized on Sunday that there was a slight possibility that while I was hoping that Sydney would have to live in mediocrity for the next decade, they might have just replaced Big Ben, AB, and Le'Veon with Najee, Pickens, and Pickett. And that's not fair. It's not fair.
I hope so anyway. I hope so. That's
watching the game on Sunday when they put Pickett, I always flip-flop their names. When they put Pickett in and he kept throwing the ball to Pickens, I said when we were watching, I'm like, oh no, there goes Chase Claypool. He's done because it's over. It's just done. It's definitely going to be Pickett to Pickens season, which is sad because I have Claypool, and I'm like, there he goes. He put up a goose egg, and it's just going to keep being low point. I don't see Claypool doing much of anything. So if you have Claypool especially, you need to try and go and get Pickens because that just shifted big time.
I'll just run through the rest real quick. Obviously with JT out, I'm not, and we don't know if he's going to play, but he's probably not. I'm not in love with any of the other running back options over there. But I do think that Mo Alley Cox obviously blew up this last week. He's rostered in 5.7% of leagues. If he's out there, especially if Taylor doesn't play this week, go and get him. Very intrigued.
He's stuck for the last 3 weeks before this week. I have him in a league.
I know. And like I said, that is 100% dependent on Jonathan Taylor not playing this week. Because if Taylor does play and he's healthy and everybody's good over there, then he goes back to what he was doing before. But this last week with limited options, they couldn't get the running game going. Obviously, that was the result. Josh Reynolds, 32.5% of leagues. His numbers have just steadily increased over the last couple weeks, and that team is just an enigma to me. But Brian Robinson, we kind of touched on that already. 50.6% of leagues. So in half the leagues out there, nobody pulled a Sid, stashed him on their IR. If nobody did so, go and get him. Because they do not like Antonio Gibson. And when your own team doesn't want you on the field, it's pretty clear what's going to happen after that. And then Kenny Pickett. I know it's a little too soon to tell, but like I said, from what I saw, I think that combo, that duo right there is going to be pretty special. If you're in a league with Sid, he probably already went and got him. But if you're not, go and see if he's out there. And then
especially if you have like Matthew Stafford, who's just not doing it for you right now. Yeah. Or like a Dak who's hurt. I had Mitchell Trubisky in a league, which was not great for me when they pulled him halfway, but he scored the week before over 15 points. So it's not a terrible thing if you're like no option at quarterback, just to have like a backup guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now there were two other situations, but I'm actually going to leave that until we get once we get them all out there, because I actually wanted to have a conversation with you guys both about Atlanta and Denver, because there's a lot of nuance going on in those situations and a lot of different players. So as far as defenses, Jacksonville and Miami, I think both have great matchups this week. Jacksonville just as a whole has been surprising. They're a lot better than people think. And I really like their matchups. So I will pass it off to you guys. You run through your waivers.
Nathan, you don't need to pick anybody up off the waiver because your team is stacked. I was looking at it last night. I'm like, his whole starting roster is great, and his bench is better than my starting lineup. So you're totally fine. Get away from the waivers and let us little people go at it, please. Because my team desperately needs somebody.
So we can avoid. I'll avoid the Falcons and the Broncos since you want to talk about that anyway. Because I
That's
definitely
the
have.
only ones I have.
I have some stuff about them, and I have some
You're
insight
supposed to let me
on
go
that
first because I'm not good at waivers and I only have a very small amount of things I can say.
Well,
about
those are
it.
the only ones you have. We'll just avoid those and talk about those together. But obviously, Pickens has got that dog in him. Go get him. I like Pickett. I mean, too, if you need a quarterback, I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot this week. I just, again, think that offense has too many shiny toys for him not to shine. He's a very competent quarterback. He should get a couple touchdowns, be very fantasy relevant. I honestly would start him over Matthew Stafford this week. So definitely like him, and he's available in almost every league.
This is funny because look at what Nicole just asked.
Say that.
So Nicole just asked, okay, I have Wentz and Winston. Who do I drop and pick up?
Drop Wentz.
Tannehill, Smith from Seattle, Bridgewater, Miami, Wilson, New York Jets.
Dude, Gino went off this week.
I like Bridgewater this week. Long term, I actually might take Zach Wilson. I think they got a lot of weapons out there in New York, and I think they are going to be behind a lot and have to throw a lot. He'll probably get you a few picks every game, but he should score a few touchdowns. I like them. I like Bridgewater for sure this week. Probably Geno Smith long-term over Wentz and Winston, and maybe Zach Wilson, but Bridgewater for sure this week. Go get Kenny Pickett too. He should be available because he should be able to shine. He's got a lot of shiny toys as well to use.
I'm picking up Jared Goff in like every league.
Yeah, Goff is another one. If available, go get him because they score a lot of points. As for running backs, aside from the Broncos and Falcons, seeing as those are the main ones, I like Isaiah Pacheco a lot. I think I'm calling him a little early because everybody is still big on CEH, and CEH is producing. But if you dive deeper into CEH's points, he's not getting the bulk of the touches, and that's why he's scoring. He's getting the touchdowns right now, and Isaiah Pacheco looks real good, and they got him in there a lot. I think slowly he's going to start taking over, or at least getting a much bigger role going forward. So I think this week is a great week to go stash Isaiah Pacheco for future weeks.
You have to scroll very far. I'm just telling you.
It is. I like. Who else was in? I'm just trying to see who is available. I went straight to the Let's Talk Fantasy League since that's the one Nathan talked about. Rashad White, the running back for the Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette is the guy there, but Rashad White, I think, almost had 50% of the snaps. So, and he's looking good. He scored a touchdown. He did fumble early, which usually they shy away from. If you fumble, you're usually done. But he kept playing. He played the rest of the game and actually looked really good. So
that's a good sign too if your team trusts you to go back out there.
Yep.
And run it again because a lot of times you fumble, you're done.
And with Zach Wilson coming back, I like Corey Davis a lot. They had a great connection early last year when Corey Davis was healthy. Corey Davis was the number one guy and then got hurt. So a lot of people forgot about Corey Davis, but he's healthy now. Zach Wilson's back. I think they have a little connection there. So I can see Corey Davis going.
If you're in a league with me, don't try to get him. Because I definitely don't want him.
And so that's another good one, I think, there. Now, let's go ahead and you get yours off the list because then I want to talk about all these options that are available for these two teams.
Oh, for the Broncos and the Falcons?
Mm-hmm.
So, Cordell Patterson is on IR, so you should go pick up Tyler
Algier.
Yes, I said his name right. Go me. I'm trying to grab him in a few leagues because my running backs are slim to none in some leagues. Also, I had Javonte in like 3 leagues, so that's really depressing. So now I'm trying to get Mike Boone. So those are probably the top guys that people are going to be trying to grab. So if you're trying to bid on them, you might have to bid quite a bit because those are going to be the top guys this week.
Yep.
For sure. Because they have injured.
I have a little more to say on it beyond that. Did you have
running
anything else, David?
backs.
Do you have anything else beyond that?
I have something to say. If you don't have Javonte Williams and you go to the waiver wire and try to pick up Mike Boone, you're just a jerk and you shouldn't do it. I hate people always do that to me. Where it's like, you didn't even need him. Quit playing defense. It's rude.
Maybe they needed a running back. And
Also,
like, oh, there's one.
Cade York is available in like every league, and I'm just picking him up to have 2 kickers because I hate my bench players. So catch me with 2 kickers. Cade York is a stud. I hate the Browns, but we love a rookie kicker.
And then what did you have to say about that, David?
What did I?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with Denver then. Okay, so obviously he's gone for the year.
Yes.
And then what's that?
I just said yes. Yep.
So obviously they got Boone. Melvin Gordon is a fumble machine this year. And then they went and sniped Latavius Murray. Where do you see this going? Because I mean, if they had that much faith in Boone, why go get Latavius Murray? Let Melvin Gordon ride backseat to Boone. I have not watched any film on Mike Boone. So where do you see this one going?
I personally like Latavius Murray out of this backfield. I do think Melvin Gordon is he's fumbled, I think it was 5 times in his last 35 carries. And if that's
so we should just get rid of that guy and play Boone and Latavius.
But
Murray.
Mike Boone is who we don't know him at all yet. So
exactly.
So this is a perfect opportunity for him to get out there and be that guy so I can win fantasy.
And I guess that's what I'm getting at is we don't know Mike Boone, but Denver does. And the fact that they immediately went and got Latavius Murray makes me feel like they don't trust Boone either. So
Boone's not a rookie either. This is his 4th year in the league.
Yeah.
So if he was a guy, we would know. Latavius Murray has been in the league. We know he's a guy.
Ain't a guy no more.
He just got signed. He scored a touchdown for the Saints and then got signed off their practice squad.
Yeah.
The next day.
I just think it's going to be a mess in their backfield in general. I don't like any of them. Like if I had the choice, I wouldn't play any of these fools.
I thought you were trying to go get Boone.
I mean, I'm going to because I have Javonte. So I'm going to drop Javonte because there's no point in having him anymore unless I do have him in a dynasty league, so I will just put him on IR and hope that he comes back next year and does amazing things because he really wasn't doing that great to begin with before he got hurt either. I just don't. If you can, I would just avoid their backs altogether.
Well, if you have Javonte, you have Jonathan Taylor, you have Cordero Patterson, you need to go get somebody. I think the long-term play is Murray. I think in the next week or two, Boone, because obviously Murray's not been there. He doesn't have time. But I think Murray is going to get all the goal line work. I think he's going to steal the goal line work from Melvin Gordon, who had it from Javonte. So I think Murray's the guy going forward there for sure. That's the guy I would want if I don't need to start somebody now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm leaning too. I was hoping you had some film on Boone or knew anything about him.
I know this is his 4th year, and I don't know him.
I thought he was
therefore.
See, this is why you don't ask me about waivers because I don't know nothing.
Well,
what do you got in Atlanta?
Yeah. All right. So then over to Atlanta. And this one I think is very intriguing because obviously Cordell Patterson just went on the 4-week IR. So this isn't going to be a thing for the rest of the season. However, Patterson is far too old to be doing what he's doing anyway. I feel like I stayed away from him completely.
But he's been doing pretty good.
100%.
And he's same thing he did last year. It's like, how is he doing this well? But then he gets hurt. So it really opened things up for Atlanta. obviously they have had multiple injuries. Was it Damian Williams?
Yep.
And they had one other running back that was hurt. Algier was coming in as like the third or fourth option this year, and people keep getting hurt. And now he got his shot. He went what was it? 49% of the snaps last week, 10 carries, 84 yards, one target that he caught for 20 yards. You would think that this is pretty clear cut that Algier would be the guy. However, the previous week, Caleb Huntley was called up from the practice squad. He got one carry, didn't do anything, whatever. Algier got most of the work as far as being the backup in that week. And then coming into this week, they knew Patterson was hurt, and they split carries very evenly. I think it was 10 for Algier, 10 for Caleb Huntley, and 9 for Cordero Patterson. So they just kind of put all of them out there and said, okay, y'all get an equal shot. Show me what you can do. But in the fourth quarter, it was Huntley who got the red zone goal line work. 10 carries, 56 yards, but he got the opportunity for the touchdown. Cordero Patterson also scored a touchdown, so maybe that would have gone to Algier in a timeshare between Algier and Huntley. Maybe they both get options. But for Atlanta to have called up Huntley 2 weeks in a row, knowing that they had Algier, they like Caleb Huntley. So, I know I was leaning towards Algier because he's more of the pass catcher. But if Huntley's going to get the goal line work, is this as clear cut to Algier as most people think?
I don't think it is, for the exact reasons you just brought up. That was one I was going to talk about Huntley. For exactly that. Everybody's going to look at Algier. He's the name. He's the rookie, the higher draft pick that they drafted, and he's the one everybody's talking about right now because he's the known name. But I think Huntley. I think it's going to be a very split backfield, and it looks like Huntley's going to get the goal line work. And anytime it's a split backfield, I want the guy that gets the goal line work that has the opportunities at a touchdown.
You're just talking crap about CEH for getting the goal line work.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to continue to get the goal line work.
Why?
I think because he's a little guy. Isaiah Pacheco is bigger, faster, stronger, I think, from what I've seen. And it's just, I think they're just giving him time because he's a rookie to grow and develop. And like I said, it takes a few weeks before rookies to start to take over. And I think this is where we start to see that turn.
Tyler Algier?
No, because Huntley's also a rookie.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that he was a rookie too.
Yeah.
They drafted both of them? They drafted 2 running backs?
So actually, Huntley this is his second year. They had him last year. In the second year of the league. But based off of what we've seen so far.
Tyler time to figure out the system.
But Huntley
will take over because Huntley's already been in the system for a year.
But he didn't play last year. I don't know where he played.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
It'll
be interesting to come back and see which one.
It's very early
in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's very early to know now. Yeah. But I think if you miss out on Algier or you're a lower waiver number and people ahead of you are gonna go get Algier, I would put in for Huntley to hope. If just in case he does be the one that pops, you got him. I think he's. I don't
have Cordero in any league, so I'm not that desperate.
He was going to be one of my desperate players. Was Huntley because he's got the chance to get the work, and I don't. And just like we were talking about, Algier is the one everybody's talking about. So I don't think a lot of people are going to look at Huntley.
Yeah.
That was your desperate player.
That's the one I was going to use just because. Or Latavius Murray. Yeah.
Philip Lindsay was my backup, just because with that situation over there. But it's not like Taylor's going to be out that long. So, but I think Philip Lindsay is very intriguing for this week, and especially if Taylor misses a second week. But yeah,
was over there.
Yeah, and he's not. There's another. Something Dion Jones or something.
Yeah, Dion Jackson, that's the one. But I was not enamored by what I saw on him. And Philip Lindsay, I mean, he knows the game. He's, more reliable. So that was intriguing to me because it's kind of a similar situation where they had Dion Jackson. And then when Taylor got hurt, they immediately pulled Philip Lindsay up from the practice squad. Like if you are grab another guy. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yep, no, I agree. That's what I had as well. So any other waivers, desperate times, desperate players, anything else? Any other questions you may have? Because I know you don't like the waivers, and it sounds like you need to hit the waivers.
I don't need to hit the waivers. I need people to trade me. Please trade me. If you're in the girls' league, just trade me. I'll give you Russell Wilson and Chris Godwin and somebody, Miles Sanders.
You can't sit here all episode and like shit on these players and then be like, "I'll give you them."
I talked about how great Miles Sanders did at the beginning, and Chris Godwin is a good receiver. I just don't need him because I have other good receivers.
Nathan said he's intrigued by Chris Godwin, by the way. A few comments back.
I'm intrigued by literally any of your running backs. Any of them.
I did have one final note here with John Dotson being out, and under the notes for that, no, sell this team.
I was like, if you say go grab Curtis Samuel or something, I'd be like, don't do it. Wentz is terrible. Find a different receiver on a different team.
I disagree with that. I think Curtis Samuel is definitely okay to grab it.
I wouldn't.
That was for Sean.
This is for everybody. I wouldn't.
Curtis Samuel's definitely over my 50% threshold, I believe.
Yeah, he was available in a few leagues that I was in. I just saw him. So
okay.
Some of the leagues I'm in are only 10 team, and the bench is pretty small. So there's actually decent people out there, which are my favorite types of leagues because you don't get totally screwed if one person on your team gets hurt.
Because she's never heard of people like Latavius Murray. And
I've heard of Latavius Murray.
Did you know he was on the Broncos?
I didn't know he was on the Broncos this year.
That's more my point.
He literally just got signed.
I know, but
I knew he was on the Saints.
That's
oh man, Sean is still there.
Oh no. Well, we don't care. They stink.
Love you, buddy.
It's amazing that Samuel is still not hurt, and Carson Wentz. Stop it. Stop it. Go away.
I think he's at a point, actually.
I don't think he does.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go into our last segment. I don't know if David has any, but we're going to go into our bet segment. That is
really quick.
Never mind.
Never mind. I'll message Andrew myself. He said A.J. Brown earlier, but CeeDee Lamb scored the same amount of points for him. So it was a wash. I know he's trying to talk crap to me. I just remembered.
Okay, right now.
I didn't know he was
perfect time to bring that up.
I didn't know if he was still on here.
Okay. We're going to go into our bet segment, which is brought to you by... That is Squid Rips Cards. That is my little side hustle that I like to do over on TikTok. Find me on Facebook and Instagram, Squid Rips Cards. I sell cards, football cards, do breaks, pull boxes, different things. I'm doing something fun this week. I have this Trevor Lawrence card, graded, on-card, auto, authenticated, signed by T-Law. I have a Jacksonville Jaguars helmet, mini helmet, signed by Trevor Lawrence as well. And then I have a Trevor Lawrence jersey. Going to do a little sale on the 3 of those. It's going to be a good time. If you are interested in that, check me out on TikTok, how I'm doing that as well. But this is the bet segment. We are a bunch of degenerate gamblers. David, not so much, but he still gambles. So he gets lumped in. And so we're going to start with the only winning gambler here, and that is Ash. And let her kick it off with the bets she has this week.
I'm a wiener. Okay. This week, well, it's still early, y'all. But I do have one in because this is the first time ever in the history of ever that the Steelers are plus 14. And I just think that's disrespectful. But I don't think
it
they
literally
win.
is actually. This is the first time since before 1970 that the Steelers were a 14-point dog. The lowest it's ever been is 13.5, and it was in the Super Bowl against the Cowboys, and we lost by 10. So we covered the spread.
Still lost.
Okay, the only thing about this bet is I'm really, really sad that I didn't make it before the Rams played because the Cowboys spread moved after that terrible performance by the Rams. So I could have gotten the Cowboys at 5.5, but I only got them at 4.5.
I saw them at 6.5.
So. 6.5. Oh my god, I would have died. Okay. Anyway, I have a 4-leg parlay because my underdog bet this week is the one that won me money. So shout out to you. Who won? The Seahawks and Tennessee, because you won me money. Appreciate y'all. I hate the Seahawks too, so the least they can do is win me money. I had the Giants at 7.5. They play the Packers. It's in London. The Packers haven't been like blowing anybody out. And the Giants have a new coach, so I feel like they'll at least be in the game. I don't think they'll win, but they'll be in it. 7.5, that's a lot. The Steelers at plus 14. The Bills are good, but that's just rude. The Cowboys at plus 4.5. The Rams team that played last night, I need them to play this weekend because that was beautiful, and I would love to see our defense go against that Rams offense. So I have the Cowboys at plus 4.5, and then I have the Raiders plus 7.5. They play Kansas City on Monday night. I don't think the Raiders win, but that division always plays each other really hard, so I can see them being within 7.5. And that's my parlay that I have going right now.
You have to send me that.
Yeah, I will. The only one that kind of scares me is the Giants, honestly, because the Packers have the potential to like blow them out of the water because it's Aaron Rodgers and he can do that. But
got any fun bets, David?
I was scrolling through, looking at some of the weekly specials, and I came across Tampa Bay to win every quarter versus Atlanta. It's plus 700.
I like it.
And I'm torn because every time I've ever bet against Tom Brady, I always lose. So I don't bet against Belichick. But I was actually very intrigued by that. I do think that Tom comes back real mad. Obviously, he's got some stuff going on in his personal life too, and I expect Tom to be in a mood this week. So I can definitely see them going off. The other one that I actually really liked was either Tyreek, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, or Elijah Moore. One of those five to get 125 plus receiving yards.
Sorry, a lot.
My phone's died. What's that?
I said you're good.
And that's what I got. That one
I like that one a lot, actually.
150. What you got, Sid?
I got a lot of homer picks. Actually, 3 bets. They're all either on the Steelers or the Cowboys, so this is fun.
Here we go. We're gonna lose now.
I got Steelers money line because I listened to Mike Tomlin talk about Kenny Pickett, and I listened to Kenny Pickett's interview after the game. And basically, he's better than Tom Brady already, so we're going to win.
Oh, my God.
Plus 610. Plus 610 Steelers money line. I put $2 on it, guys. Calm down. I put $2 on it. Anyway, just so if they win, I can be like, ha, I bet on it. Anyway, and then I also this was disrespectful. This is disrespectful. I same game parlayed the Steelers to have more than 7.5 points in the first half. More than a touchdown in the first half, and more than 16.5 points in the game. They don't think we're going to score 17 points. I'll take that bet all day. So definitely, I parlayed that together and got plus 148. Love that bet. More than a touchdown in the first half. Mitch Trubisky could do that almost.
He couldn't. That's why they.
Wait, could he
got
though?
6.
Could
he? Got 6. And then
Boswell got you 6 points.
And okay, the Steelers. I mean, he's the quarterback that got okay.
Boss.
Regardless. And then I put $5 on the Cowboys money line plus 180 to beat the Rams because the Rams looked terrible. And I think your guys' defensive line eats on their offensive line. So I think that's why you guys win that game.
I just remember that one game that we played against the Rams in the playoffs, or to make it to the playoffs, or was it the playoffs? Or Aaron, no. Yeah, I think it was. And they just destroyed us, so I just hate them. I hate everybody in the AFC or the NFC, to be honest. That's it. That's all you have is the Cowboys Steelers bets.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. We're all gonna lose
the Steelers money line is a joke. Like, I don't really think that's gonna happen. But the plus 600 on it, yeah, I'll take that.
I feel like plus 14 is ridiculous.
And then
I get it's the Bills, and they're like gonna win the Super Bowl, but jeez.
I absolutely think we can score more than a touchdown. Yeah, it's in Buffalo. We beat them in Buffalo last year.
Week 1.
For the record. Okay, just saying.
We'll never forget.
Just saying.
Yeah, we beat Washington 56-17 last year too. Doesn't mean it. I just like repeating.
No one asked you.
And then did you beat them this year? Can't even let me speak. And then did you beat them this year?
We did.
Okay, cool. With a different quarterback? Yep. Oh, okay, cool. So it's possible? All right, bet.
You're saying there's a chance.
Did you have Kenny Pickett, though?
Oh, my God. No, we have Cooper Clutch.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got...
We need to get off of here. It's been too long.
Yeah, that's also why I bet on the Cowboys money line, because Cooper Clutch is starting and not Dak. Guaranteed win. Like, what? Who's going to bet against Cooper Clutch? You think it's a bad idea to think it's a bad idea to bet against Brady and Belichick? Don't bet against Cooper.
Oh, jeez.
Don't bet against Cooper.
Bye. Don't leave.
Is the show over yet?
Yeah, no shit.
All right, we're out of here. Catch us next week, Tuesdays. Tomorrow is Washington Football Weekly. Thursday is the Ladies Takeover.
Which I'll be making a comeback for a little bit.
Cameo. Friday is, I think, Let's Talk Football. The OG show is going to show on Friday. Plus, North Sports Dynasty's got a show. I will be guest appearing on that one. Saturday, Let's Talk College Football. Sunday, Let's Talk Football Sunday preview. All the shows.
Basically every day.
But you'll see all three of us back next week, same time, after the roundtable. We are out of here, guys. Peace.